somebody comes and talks to me.
Sure. Hold on. Before you do
Uh,
that, this is January 28th. Our mastermind. I just forgot what number it is. I think it's 34, but I could be wrong. So hold on a second. Today we are doing a Tuesday because we rescheduled from Monday because I was at Sundance along with a whole group of other people. So today's going to be a casual conversation, checking in, as well as a talk about how do we know when to say yes or no to a project. So today is actually number 35, session 30. Okay, Becca, go ahead. You can talk as much or little as you want. I know you're at work.
um, I'm just doing rewrites on my second script. Um, yeah, check in. I think I'm still still feeling kind of, I think, frustrated about wanting to get my film produced or doing going the independent route and don't know where to start. I did have a producer that started just getting too busy. And she was just really young, so she has to support herself and try to see if somebody else could help me along the way. So I think I feel a little like unguided because I'm mostly just screenwriter actor and never had to like go this route. So I'm kind of like restarting again as to like where do I start to get going with just getting my first film made. So
Okay, thank you
yeah.
for sharing. You're not alone in that. So it sounds like you just feel you're coming up against some obstacles about how to move forward with your script. You're doing some rewriting and you really feel the need to have a producer person to help with the development and then moving forward. Is that kind of what you'd say you need right now?
Right, because from the very beginning, I was like, I'm going to do it all myself,
Hmm.
and then everybody told me you cannot do this by yourself. It's insane. Focus on being, the screenwriter, and you can't be the screenwriter and producer and director and everything. And it's just like I've never done this before, so I'm just trying to get my first feature casted. I've
Yeah.
spoken to casting directors and one who is in, and a few potential actors that want to be in it,
Mm.
and one from BraveMaker who I have an eye on. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm just kind of like, where do I restart? Like, where do I start? So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, if this is why we're here, right? If we can help with that, let me know. I'm thinking like specifically, like, do you want to find some people and just kind of talk with them, like potential producers. And one thing that you can start off with now, because I'm assuming, and maybe this is wrong, but there's not money in it right now. You're really looking for people who want to help and believe in the project. And I had a conversation with one of our BraveMaker people that said, "Hey, I'd love to bring on as a producer. I don't have any money yet, but we could work on something." And I was like, "Cool, let me read the script and then we talk about it and let's get things in writing and kind of figure out how it works." So that is probably some of these conversations you could be having as you're doing your own rewrites. It's just like, all right, interview some people, have some conversations, see who's willing. Maybe even in this group, is there anybody who wants to partner with you and read your script and, be really upfront and transparent about what resources you have or not, and then go from there.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. That's where I'm
Thanks for
at.
sharing. Well,
Yeah.
anybody who's live watching this or on the replay, Becca is, you hear what she's looking for and how we can support. So let's see what we can do. Thank you. Hi, Dasha. Welcome. We're just doing some quick check-ins here. Belhika, you want to go next?
Yeah, I have sunscreen in my eye. That's the first thing. Um, and this week I'm doing The Artist Way. Do you guys know the book, The Artist Way? I can't remember if I talked about it last week, but I'm on week 2 and I'm having a bit of like I think it's some type of imposter syndrome because I think we were talking about this last. No, were you talking about it on a podcast? My brain. Maybe at a Sundance podcast, you
I
were
feel
talking
like we definitely talk about
imposter.
that a lot. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I don't often suffer from like imposter syndrome or perfectionism. I more suffer from I feel bad that I'm not suffering as much as other people. And I'm not in a bad place artistically where I need the artist way. I'm honestly doing it because I've heard about it. I thought it sounded fun and it sounded like a really great YouTube video idea. So I feel like a little guilty that I'm not suffering through this book. And I'm sure I just jinxed myself because maybe chapter 2 is going to start making me suffer. But I'm just like, it's a weird place to be like, I'm great-ish, but I'm great compared to, a lot of people who usually do this. And so that's something I'm trying to like metabolize in my brain of like, why should I need to feel like I need to suffer? Like if I'm doing good, then I'm doing good, period. Relax, girl. Maybe that's anxiety. But this week today actually, I'm doing some video collabs because there's an actor I met through another group that I'm in, similar to this, but it's all actors. And he wants to start a YouTube channel, basically doing exactly what I do, talking about acting. And I was like, dude, it would have been my dream for somebody to collab with me when I first started my channel that was doing the same thing and had way more subscribers. Let's do it. So we're going to do videos today, 2 videos. I'll post one on my channel, one on his. Um, and then I'm working a bunch on YouTube this week and still trying to do a bunch of income generation where I collab with different people like I'm doing with Tony with the Academy. So I'm super excited to be taking the acting academy this next session, and then I'm gonna get to share it in a video. So it's just like I'm realizing YouTube is like my filmmaking, which some of you will probably are like, duh, it's like you're filming, you're editing, you're producing. But I'm realizing like that is my filmmaking when I'm in between working on, other projects. And it's so nice because I can cuss, right? I'm the fucking boss of my YouTube channel. Like nobody can fucking tell me anything unless they're in the video. I'm more than happy to if they're like, you know what, never mind. Can you just not post it? I'm like, sure, whatever. But like when I'm doing stuff on my own, it feels so good that I need to ask permission to nobody. So it feels so nice. And that's where I'm at.
Yes,
I'm
Belika.
waiting for auditions, like always. You never know when they're gonna come in. So I'm
Yeah,
always ready.
that's. I think as creatives, if we see our life as our own business, like are the CEO of our life. I mean, that's how it needs to be done. That's awesome. I totally resonate with that. Can you, if I hear you correctly, is the artist way? I did it so long ago, I don't remember. But that's the morning pages one where you're doing 3 pages
Yeah.
every day, right? Okay.
Morning pages every day. So you write basically stream of consciousness for 3 whole pages. And on purpose, I bought a very large notebook. So it takes me
Mm-hmm.
like minutes. And then you take yourself on an artist date every week. So you go for 1 hour and go do something by yourself. And then each chapter has different tasks for the week, and it asks you about different questions. And it's supposed to like bring up different things. Like basically, this book is to heal your inner child, your inner art
Mm,
your
cool.
inner child artist, because I think a lot of us did start off as artists and then we were like hammered
Yep.
down to try to not be. But that's essentially the book. And I recommend it to anybody.
Mm-hmm. So if I heard you correctly, were you saying you're finding yourself challenged because there's a focus on the suffering part of it? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
there's
Yeah.
just a lot of like prompts about like who are your monsters? Who made you feel like you couldn't? And a lot of
Mm,
people told me not to cry, not to be an artist, not to this, that, but I just never have listened. Like I'm still such an emotional person. Like I cry about happy things, bad things, like anxiety. Like it's just I'm such a emotional person and I'm such a creative that I never let them stop me from like scrapbooking or making jewelry as a kid or redecorating my room, stuff like that. So the book is very much about like who stopped you from doing that. And I'm like, well,
mm,
these people said it, but I didn't pay attention. So I just feel like guilty for not suffering. I'm like, maybe I should go back when I'm suffering, but that's so dumb because you always hear like, in
yeah.
order to be a true artist, you have to suffer so bad. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
can I just have like a normal life and still be an artist?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's great proof that everyone is different. And Gwen and I were having this conversation yesterday at Sundance. You know, life isn't always fair, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's totally great right now, but in someday it will be unfair. And your time will come. And if it's not now, then cool. You don't need to like write that page away. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Or you're getting also great insight for other people that maybe someday this is going to help them too. So I think that's a
Yeah.
cool thing to consider. Yeah.
Yeah, and not to say that I've never had hardships. Of course I have. I've lost my best friend a couple years ago. I've like my parents got divorced. I was kidnapped as a kid. Like
Mm,
there's stuff that happened, but like I don't know if I don't let it affect me,
mm,
if I haven't like gone through it, or if this is just my personality, like I'm a little tough,
yeah.
you know. I'm a little emotional and a little tough.
Yeah, that's a good combo because as an artist, to have the emotions as well as to have the thickness of skin, like that's a great combo. We're good. That's great. Thanks, Belhika, for sharing. Appreciate you. The artist way, I think it really is a good. I remember loving it. It's a lot of work and it's a big commitment to do it. You got to really
14
follow.
weeks.
How many is it? 14?
14, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're feeling like you need something new here in 2025, we're only, still in the first month of January or first month of the year. The artist way is a good discipline. Cool. Who else wants to share? Welcome, Tamika and Shauna, checking in. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, is that the workbook one? Like you can write inside of it or no?
I have the workbook as well, but I've
Okay.
realized that the workbook is essentially like the last pages of each chapter and then
Okay.
just get like blank space. So it would be cheaper if you just grab like a notebook,
Got
you
it.
know.
Cool. Good resource. Anyone else check in? How are you? What are you working on? Any updates? Any challenges you're finding yourself in that you want to process? Tamika and Shana, we are getting through, starting with Becca, who's got looking for a producer because one of her contacts fell through for her script. So we're going to want to support her in that. Go ahead, Dashel. Good
So
morning.
I'm taking a screenwriting course in school, and uh, I'm working on a story. It's a heist story about a girl oh, who has Down syndrome, who is like she runs this bread stand, and she lives in an apartment with her mom. And so the basic story, I've been fleshing this out the best I can. And she, every day, this local gangster comes and buys bread from her and leaves an unidentified package, and she thinks he's he's being friendly and being her friend, and at one point he drops his handkerchief or something, and he finds it and goes to bring it to him, and overhears that he he's not as friendly as he seems, and so that's where the story he launched is from. Um, and so yeah,
Cool. Is it a short, feature, animated, all of the above? What is it?
it's a short live action film.
Cool. Well, Dashel, this is a place where we would love to read it. So when you're ready to share a draft of it, let us know. We can do a table read with you. That would be fun.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. All right. Who else wants to give us an update?
I'll go.
Hi,
So I
Stacy.
decided um to film in the Bay Area. I was toying with it before since I couldn't the fires in LA happened when I was going to go down there to location scout. So I just decided I don't the air quality in LA, I'm like, no, I'll just do it out here. So I already had the actors. One is in LA, so I'll see if I can fly him up. But yeah, I'm thinking of filming it in Richmond now, actually. I joined a co-working space in Richmond, and the room, like one of the rooms, I think could be a principal's office or a conference room. So I think that might work. And the update on the insurance fraud, if you some of you may know, it was transferred to the complex large loss team due to my DP who was not being truthful. And so my DP had a whole, I now have a third insurance adjuster. The insurance adjusters have no idea what's going on. They don't have any, haven't They don't know anything about the case, and they're asking my DP questions because she's inserted herself on the emails, and her and the insurance adjuster had this whole conversation last week and didn't include me, and it's my policy, and I paid for it. So I had to let him know yesterday. He apologized, but yeah, just be careful with who you hire. I know all of us in the BraveMaker community are um upstanding people, but not everybody functions like that. So beware.
Thank you, Stacy. I'm so sorry you have to go through that. Gwen and I were just chatting about this before we jumped on about just how we can make sure we're protecting people when you hear stories, and also some of the due diligence that we should be getting recommendations, in the future if you're working for someone for the first time. But you also worked with this person before, so it's just so hard. People just turn, and that's so discouraging. And what a betrayal! I'm so sorry. Yeah, so find those good people. Thank you all for being good people, and let us know when we can help. Do you have any projected dates for production?
No, not yet.
Okay. Okay.
I'll
Cool.
let you guys know.
Cool. Thanks, Stace. All right. Who else? A few more people.
Tamika asked in the chat if it's Richmond, Virginia or Richmond, Bay Area.
Bay Area. Yeah.
I figured. Yeah, I've got guys downstairs busting out a wall right now. So
We can't hear. We can't hear it.
so we're talking about what's happening in our
Yeah, just check it in. How are you? What are you working on? That kind of deal before we jump in.
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. I'm still on the festival circuit. And I think you all know, we were nominated for an NAACP award, so I wanted to ask you to please vote for us. I can send the link to Tony and you in the instructions.
Yeah,
It's
and put it
kind
in the
of
put it in the chat too. You say it's complicated to do it?
Yeah, I'm gonna send an email to you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sure,
Like,
sure.
really? There's like 5 steps to get to the voting thing. Like, oh my God, make it a little easier, please.
And anybody
Anyway,
can vote for you? Anybody can vote?
anyone can vote. Yeah.
That is wild.
Isn't
So it's
that wild?
not like the academy or anything. Oh, wow. Okay.
No, I think they do that for the nominees. So they have like a team of people for the nominees, and then it becomes more like a popular vote. I think there's other like vote things out there that, do that. I forget the names of them. But it then becomes a popular vote once they choose a nominee. So I was like, okay, that's interesting.
Well, you
But
got Stacy's vote. She said in the comments, she already did it from your LinkedIn comment.
yay, thank
Yay.
you. Yeah, I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things. I was out of town for about 2 months. I was in Virginia with my parents and traveling a little bit. But now I just got back to LA and dealing with stuff because I was gone. And yeah, I'm just trying to get back to the swing of things. Look, I celebrate Lunar New Year because I know that I need the I need
Mm.
the extra time to get my stuff together. So I'm like, okay, yay, Happy New Year, but it's not New Year for me yet, not like
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
need all that extra time to get myself in gear and what goals I want to do. And so I'm celebrating. I'm like, man, even Lunar New Year came quickly this year. Usually it's in February. It's tomorrow. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm not ready.
It's like make it happen anytime you
Anyway.
need it. Just hit that reset button. I feel the same way coming back from Sundance. It was still Christmas mode there. There was Christmas lights everywhere. It was snow. So I felt like I went back to Christmas, which is great. I really love it. I know Belhika, you would love it because you're Christmas nonstop. So coming back home, I'm like, I feel like it's New Year's Eve a little bit. I'm thinking, okay, reset. What goals do I need? So, do it whenever you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
But that's
Thanks,
it.
Tamika.
Just writing. Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. Who else?
I can go next. Hi everyone, good morning. I guess the biggest things going on for me right now, slash updates are I got a cat, so very exciting.
Let's
She's
go,
very
cat
cute.
lady.
Thanks, yeah, she's very cute. And my Film 3 Wishes is finally done. Very happy to finally have reached that step because it just has felt like such a long, long, long time. And I've submitted it to festivals so far. So I think right now my main focus is just trying to like solidify my film festival strategy and like, learn more tips about how to like strengthen that more and how to, get better chances and just get the word out about the film, basically. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
Awesome. Congrats. What a feat to be able to get there. I know you've worked hard and so many things have happened in the middle of that, Shauna. So, obviously Belhika being the star and me getting the chance to produce has been
Yeah, you
a
guys have both been amazing to work
privilege
with
and an
and support
honor.
this project. So I
Proud of you.
appreciate both of you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Proud of you. All right. And we'll see it on the screen in July at BraveMaker Film Festival. And hopefully many, many more screens.
I'm so excited. I'm finally editing my vlog from last year, going to the film festival, and I'm like shaking of how excited
Good.
the
Isn't
BraveMaker
that
Festival.
that's so encouraging, like to be able to go like, hey, it was 7 months ago, but like you're still connecting to it. That's so powerful.
Oh, of course, yeah. And also, I don't know who else is in LA, but I'm seeing Leah tonight at the Hollywood Improv because
Tamika's
she
there.
she
That's great.
performs often. So
That's
yeah, I
so
saw
cool.
her a few weeks ago, and then I was like, I want to go again.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. And I'll announce our next Brave Maker drop in too in a few minutes. That's awesome. I like it. Cool. Well, with that, Gwen and I will take a few minutes and just share our updates, which will include Sundance stuff. But Gwen, go ahead. Do you want to share?
Sure. I am pretty sick. I have a fever, and I think it's just from not sleeping and, just going and going and going all day for that many days in a row. Um, it was a really interesting experience. I feel like there's so much socializing and networking and talking to people and meeting people. And then there's also the possibility of so much of watching movies. And so if I went in the future, I would try to split that up because I feel like the first week is really great for the socializing part. Um, but it's also super busy and crazy. So if I wanted to I could totally see just going there the second week and just watching movies all day. Um, the For sure, the quality of the movies was really incredible. It was super, super inspiring. Um, and also all the panels. Um, it's just incredible to hear people who this is their third or fourth movie at Sundance, and they're like, "Yeah, we were filming and we had run out of money, and so I just had to bet on. I had to just use my own funds and bet on the fact that we would get picked up and I would get paid back, right?" And it's really amazing to realize that I feel like I'm always struggling because I'm new and I don't really know what I'm doing, but it sounds like everybody has a lot of similar um, people go through a really similar process no matter where they are in the journey. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I think every year I go down there, and this is my 13th. The conversations, it's so good. It's so beautifully, wonderfully exhausting in a great way. I think I got 4 and 5 hours of sleep. One night I think I got 6-ish. But it's so like there's so many things to do, and you really have to figure out and navigate. And huge props to Stacy. Stacy was like texting me and emailing me every day and setting up meetings and connections. It was awesome. Like, way to go, Stacy, with being an amazing filmmaker and board member of BraveMaker. I got great connections with SAG Indie, with United, with filmmakers that were there, and we're building toward the 7th annual film festival at Sundance. So I love that part so much. There are times when you have the FOMO stuff, because you have to choose. There was one time where I saw a movie. It was actually a series called Hal and Harper, and they showed the first 4 episodes, so 2 hours, 4 30-minute episodes. I was so wrecked that I could not go to my next movie, which was within an hour. I was like, I cannot. I just skipped that, canceled that ticket, tried to give it away for free, but as I was walking by, there was nobody lying. I was just like, I got to get on a bus. My phone had died. I was like, this is perfect. I'm just going to sit on a bus for 30 minutes and look out the window and think and reflect and pray, because I was just a wreck. It was awesome. Like that kind of stuff. You just never know what's going to happen sometimes, right? And then there was another time where I had a potential meeting that wasn't guaranteed. Like, go meet at this place. It's a party or workshop or something. You might meet this person, and this was within the last hour before I had to pack and leave. Or this guy was texting me, hey, a producer on one of the films called Bunny Lover. Hey, do you want to meet up for lunch today? I'm like, I can't do lunch because I'm driving or I'm flying out, but do you want to meet now? I'm here. We could get a coffee or walk and talk. So I'm like waiting, looking at my phone, like, do I go here or do I go here? And he texts back, yeah, sure. I'll grab an Uber over. And he Ubered over and we had 30 minutes to walk, from one venue down to our condo. And we just chatted. And this guy is from New York. We met the very first day, and that was our second meeting because we've been trying all week and we couldn't ever make it work. And I was like, that's what I need to do. I needed to skip that thing and do this. And that's so much of what Sundance can be and feel like. It's so fulfilling. We met Tamika, we met your producer, Carol. And because she knew us through BraveMaker at one point, me and Priscilla were walking up to line to a workshop at the Filmmaker Lodge. It was so long. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, BraveMaker, we love you. You've been so supportive." She's like, "Come on, let me help you." She got us in the front of the line. We're like, "Hi." Sorry. She moved us in the front of the line. And no joke, while we were doing that, I had met this other guy named Jimmy, and I forget how you say his last name, an actor from Bel Air who had his social media guy with him, was waiting in the line. He's like, "Tony, what's up?" And I said to Carol, "Can we get that guy in? He's like an actor on Bel Air." And she's like, "Sure." So we got this guy in with his guy. It was like, that is Sundance. It's so
Oh
wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She told me she met you. She's like, they're such great people. I was like, I know. You should have come to Brave Maker. She was somewhere else though.
Well, we were chatting, like we'll figure out, because you're working on your feature. It's so meaningful, and like the relationships we were building, it's just so fun. And it felt like we were on a retreat together, right, Gwen? Because we would come back to the condo like the very last night. We all were debriefing. We're like, let's meet at 9 o'clock. We didn't leave till 1 in the morning. Everyone's chatting. People are crying. We're laughing. It was like beautiful, so beautiful. And we shared all the moments of like when we put our foot in our mouth. Like I'm walking down. I always prepare myself because I have these moments when I feel discouraged where I'm supposed to get into a movie and I don't, or someone's like, let's
Yeah.
meet up, and then they flake. And you feel like, why am I here? Do I even belong? Does anybody care? Right. You have those little lies, right? I'm walking up the street, but I tell myself, no, I know who I am. Like Belly guy, I know what I bring. I'm gonna just choose and pray something amazing happens. And I'm walking down the street going, all right, what's gonna happen? And then Bowen Yang from Saturday Night Live comes down the street. And I just was like, it was just so silly. It was 3 minutes or 3 seconds long, but he's walking right toward me with his friend. And I like kind of froze a little bit and looked him in the eye. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Tony." Just like that. "Hi, I'm Tony." Put both my hands up like jazz hands. He's like, "Hey." Just like that. He's like, "Hi." And I kept walking. It's like, that was so ridiculous. So stupid. But then I also danced in the street to this amazing DJ music, and it was just awesome. Which ironically, when Tara Bremer came late and we were having, another round of sharing, and we said, "What was your most awkward or weird moment?" She's like, "I saw people dancing in the street. And I didn't understand why." And everybody laughed because that was one of my highlights that I shared. Can't make this up.
Yeah, and we were all like, "What is weird about dancing in the street?" And she was like, "But why? Why were you dancing in the street?" And I'm like, "Does there have to be a reason? Come on."
I'm glad
Man.
to hear that even you, Tony, that have like you meet every year thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands of people, and even you have those awkward moments. Because I also am like, yeah, if I met even like Beyonce or Obama, like I'd be chill, like who cares? You're a person. But once
Right.
your heart's like,
Yeah.
and what do I do? And it's like, oh my God,
I
girl.
know. Bowen, yeah, I hope Sean, I hope he does remember me. Someday I'll be like, "Hey, I saw you at Sundance and I did jazz hands and said hi, Anton." Oh, all right. Well, we're going to do a podcast on Friday as well, Priscilla and myself, and we'll invite other people. Hi, Joelle. We're going to do a podcast of reflecting on Sundance that we can use as a resource for next year to help prepare people to go. Because there's so many more things we could talk about, like just what you pack, what you shouldn't pack, things to be aware of, how to handle. We did have a guy who came to one of our parties who was like way drunk and all these things, and we were like, okay, we need to have a plan about how to navigate somebody who obviously shouldn't drive home. Nobody drives in Sundance anyway. They shuttle or Uber. But we're like, who's this guy even with? We don't even know this guy. He actually was a Bay Area actor who I found out has a pretty decent role in a feature film that stars a bunch of other people in the Bay Area, but I had never met him before. It was a little awkward. But that gave us a plan for our second party about, okay, let's just keep our eyes open and try to figure out how we can do this. Okay, cool. So today I wanted to do a discussion around how you know when to say yes or how you know when to say no to a project. I'll put the link in the chat. It is something I did a podcast on a couple months ago. It's just basically, it started out as 5 things in the podcast, and then it became 6 things because of some feedback. And I wanted to have you all, interact a little bit, but I'll quickly just share what those 6 high level things are, and then we can dig into them. First, I'd say, do I want to be on the project? Is there genuine desire? Then does it work for my schedule? Like, can I really fit it in? Do I have time? Is there compensation? Okay, because we do a lot of things that aren't compensated. Am I good at what I'm being asked to do? 5, do I see myself working well with the collaborators? And then 6 is literally, am I physically able to do what is required? So let's just start. Well, first of all, does any of those questions kind of stick out to you? Or do you think even at a high level, do you think I'm missing anything on that list?
Like, sorry, I think one of them I started thinking about my anxiety and so I stopped listening. But do you have anything about asking other people what their experiences have been, but like asking somebody that you trust and
Mm-hmm.
that they would be comfortable sharing with you their true opinion? Because
Great.
as like a professional, I don't want to oversell or like
Yeah.
or undersell anybody too hard. So I like
Yep.
give them my opinion, but I remind people like your experience is going to be different from mine. So
Yep.
even if I had like an incredible time working with Tony, somebody else might be super introverted and be like, Tony's cool, but like I just can't work with people that are that like high energy, you know? Same
Mm-hmm.
thing with me. I'm sure people are like, she talks too much and she's too high energy. And they're like, but I love working with Tony. So of course I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to tell everybody he's great. But then at the same time, I don't want them to be like, oh, you recommended him, but he wasn't my vibe. And then I'm like, oh my God, but he's like the person that like one of my favorite collaborators, like, so how do you communicate? Like, how
Good.
do you choose who to communicate with?
That's good. I think that would be something I should add to number 5. You're talking about, do I see myself working well with the collaborators? I think I put that question based on someone already, but you're right. You sometimes get asked to be on projects with people you don't know. In fact, Gwen and I were just talking about this too, is if you've had a bad experience with someone, you don't want to be gossipy and, ruin their reputation, but you also want to be careful in recommending people to work with them. And I had a conversation with somebody, and I've had this turned on me too, actually. Someone said to me, hey, I see you working with this person a lot. I have not had a good experience. Why do you work with them? And I was like, oh my gosh, crap. Opened my eyes to things because now they're going, you're connected to that person. So I think there is something to add. Like if you do get an invitation from someone that you're not familiar with to like taking a job, ask people for referrals. How would you say it was working with that person? And be honest.
And even that's so hard too, because what if you genuinely know that they are a really good person and they
Yep.
happen to have a bad experience on set? Because that's happened to me where
Mm.
I love a filmmaker. I recommend somebody to work with them. They have a bad experience, and I'm like, look, filmmaking is so hard. They were the writer, director, producer, and DP. Like they must have been so stressed that first day of production because
Yep.
I've heard from nobody else anything bad from that production.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
How can you champion people that you really believe in as well?
Yep. That's good. And this is important. Please, anybody else chime in going on this number 5 about working well with collaborators. I think there is obviously there's grace. People have bad days. I've had bad days. And I try to often say, you heard me say, if there's anything you see that you need to tell me and you knew I wouldn't get defensive, tell me. Use that language even. Like, hey, Tony, if I knew you wouldn't get defensive, I would tell you that that was not cool what you did or what you said or how you handled that scene, directing or whatever. Things happen, one-offs, right? But if there's consistency and patterns with people, that's where it's like, oh, be careful. And if I can use a quick example that's sort of aligned, Stacy was connecting me with this team, these people that she thinks will be great partners. I went to the event. There were 2 people. One was like super warm and friendly, and the other one was like, hey, yeah, let's connect, let's talk. And she seemed like short or distracted, and then she never came back to talk to me. And I left going, oh, she hates me, or we're not a right fit, right? So I said this to Stacy, and Stacy's like, no. We had a great talk. We had lunch, and then I started to think, oh yeah, well, there actually was A-listers at this event. There were people like Rose Byrne that was in the room that she was attending to. So it's not about me, right? Those are those things where it's important to have those conversations. But if I have a second and third and fourth issue like that with her, then I go, well, then she truly might not like me. But I think this is really important in this industry, with especially in the Bay Area or anywhere. It's small. The community of working with people is small. And if you get asked by someone who you've worked with in the past that has not been a good fit, it's appropriate to pass. I actually had to pass about a month ago with someone who said, "Hey, do you want to do this thing?" And I have been having some challenges. And I said, "I'm just going to respectfully pass." And they're like, "Oh." And I gave them enough to tell them it just wasn't working for me. I feel like our vibes and our cultures, what we're creating aren't working. I would prefer just have a friendship, with you and not have a working relationship with you. Really hard to say, but it was like, that's what I needed to do. Okay. If anybody else wants to point out a question, I want to go back to number one. Is this something I want to do? And I was thinking maybe if you were to like put a value on each of these, right? If there's 6 questions right now, do you need to have 4 out of 6 to be able to say yes? What is it for you? I don't know. Right. But if the first one is like, do I genuinely want to do this project? Right. You've all heard, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no. But there are times when we say yes to things. We say yes to things just because it is compensated, and it works for my schedule. And, I'm good at what they're asking me to do, but I'm not so excited about the content. Like, the reason I was able to have my own room at Sundance, because I said yes to a project that I wasn't super stoked on. It paid a lot and it worked in my schedule. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this because I need it. I need the money. It's compensated. I'm good at it. And I saw myself working well with the collaborators. It wasn't like a fictional narrative. It was corporate stuff, but it worked and it's fine. And I was physically able to do what is required. Now, why did I put that in there? This is what Olga had said, which I thought was really good. I didn't have this on my first time around. And Dashel, I see your request for the podcast. I'll put the link in there for you. Is filmmaking is long, hard hours. And some people, this is not great for you. Staying up late is not going to be doable. Maybe once or twice, but if you're on a feature film and you're shooting, overnights, like we met this filmmaker, Erin Brown Thomas. We interviewed her for the podcast. She had an episodic show called Chasers. They did 4 all nights starting at 5:00 p.m., till 5 a.m. Some producer on there who's in her 30s, like young and fit, she's like, I don't think I could ever do that again, is what she said. I don't think I could do 4 overnights in a row. So it's important to kind of ask yourself, can I physically do it? Now, there's also things like, I feel like I'm a fit person. I'm in my 40s, almost 50s, but I am not someone who wants to be lugging, tons and tons of gear around. I usually have to do it because we just have to, but that's not something that I want to be doing. I do not want to be a gaffer or a grip. But if there's a 1-day project where it's paid, I'm not that great at it, but I like the people and it works on my schedule. And I think, I can do this for a night. I will, right? You see what I'm saying? Like all of those factors, I think have to be figured out. But if it's like a no, on all 6 of these, obviously that's obvious. But if it's like, well, 3 of them are no, and 3 of them are yes, then you got to figure out what's going to be the teetering to yes or to no.
And as an actor, I really like that question because sometimes it's like there's intimacy
There you
and
go.
like I do that because now 2025 and even last year I have like this line of like there needs to be a intimacy coordinator and it needs to be
Great.
because I don't want to just like I don't know what people do
Mm-hmm.
with their mouths. So I
Yeah.
don't want to kiss a random and then, get paid like $100 and maybe it'll never see the day of light. Like I'd rather not. I'd rather wait till I'm SAG to kiss anybody else on camera. Because I've kissed more people on camera or stage than, in my personal life. So I think that weighs in of like, so I think that one's great.
That's a
But
huge one for
some
actors.
like, what if you were getting paid like $30,000 and they're like, oh, but you have to be the grip. Sometimes like you said, the other ones are like,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. Totally. Exactly. And like I said, I've done that. And which one would you say is most important to you? Do you have to rate, if you had to rate these all? Is there things that are like, on your top 2, top 3? Anybody want to share or speak on that at all? I'll send the link out if you're watching on the replay. I'll put the link in an email so you can look at the blog post, and I'll probably add a little bit. I like that intimacy coordinator part. that's something for actors especially. But anybody want to speak on anything or ask a question or share a story even?
Kind of.
Go ahead.
I think I'm navigating being diagnosed with a few conditions recently and tapping into communities that of like disabilities of people in the arts that want to create, just because they have some yeah, have some, physical limitations. And like I'm really interested in supporting those communities and seeing how they work around that. I mean, that's a little off topic, but I'm really interested in exploring that and like productions that um sort of include maybe actors. I think about like Selena Gomez, who I think has lupus or something,
I think that sounds right. Yeah.
and making accommodations for people. Um, so I mean, that's just something that I've been recently interested in. Um, and I think that's like a little outside of that box, but
No,
yeah.
I think it works really good, Rebecca. That goes to do with, the limitations, our physical ability, but it also has to do with, I think, scheduling and
Mm.
going. There are some things in the film industry that are just we take advantage of schedules because we're pushing, pushing, pushing. And I'm hearing more people say, no, we should be able to have a schedule that is normal and healthy. Like we should be able to go back, and home and rest and have a good night's sleep. We should be able to have a spouse if we want, or a family if we want, right? And if we do have these things, we shouldn't feel guilt or shame for saying it's really important for me to only work 10 hours. And I've been hearing more and more people talk about these French hour things too, or even like the normal 8 hour day. Like things can be made and creative and all that kind of stuff. And Gwen just said, I'm going to go lay down, which is perfect, right? Know your boundaries, know what you need to do. I think that's really important. I think French hours are just shorter than our American hours. Like they're really good about like, tea time and all those kind of things. Like they just do not play around like when we do in America. Uh, I've been on so many sets that just push it. I have done that myself. Um, but I'm trying to get more and more like, okay, 10 hours is what I think I want to go for. And that gig that I took that I told you wasn't my favorite, but paid and fit in my schedule. We did it in 8 and I felt so proud. We were wrapped like almost exactly 8 hours. And like, cause we were using our time well. And I think that goes to collaborators too. I've worked with some collaborators that I go, I just don't think they're efficient. They're not, or some directors that are a little bit too in their head or too artsy fartsy. And I want to be artsy, but I also don't want that to be at the expense of people that are waiting around. Like I don't like when actors are waiting around for hours upon hours while we're setting up lights because there wasn't things planned or whatever, and things happen. They do. But if that's a pattern, I think it goes back to that pattern thing in collaborators. Anybody else want to ask a comment or question or share a story? I want to talk
I was
about I want to talk about money next, but go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I think mine is, do I want to do it? Like the project itself, but also I tend to use like my intuition a lot. Like if I just really don't vibe, like I need to start listening to that more. I know I keep talking about anxiety today, you guys, but sometimes I don't know if it's intuition or anxiety. Can you tell which is which?
Mm, yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah, gonna
You
have to
mean
ask my therapist.
Yeah.
about taking on a project? Is that what
Yeah.
you're?
Yeah, like when you're taking on a project and you get like a bad vibe from somebody, like how the heck do you know if it's your intuition telling you like don't do it, girl, or if it's your anxiety? Because I've had many times before where I push past like my bad vibes that I'm getting and it ends up being really great. And I'm like, oh, that was, it was my anxiety because of this event and that event. So
Yeah, no, with my DP, I there were many red flags that I ignored. And so when I first mentioned the project to her, I should have known and I should have known before. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's different for everyone in different
yeah,
projects.
maybe it's something that we can be more hyper aware of and like keep track of it for when you do see red flags and like write it down when you do feel that intuition of like this isn't going to be good. And then after a while you can start maybe like honing that in, paying better attention to that and really realizing when it's your personal anxiety or maybe the time of the year where you're not really good mentally. But anyway, money.
I want to add to that though. I'm not sure I'm able to best express the anxiety thing, but I do feel I know when I feel an intuition or a gut check. And I've been trying to tell myself and practice this on set because at times I have been swayed in the moments where someone's like, because of time or whatever reason they might give, we have to do this or cut this, or maybe there's a take that wasn't exactly what I wanted. And people or the AD is like, let's got to move on. And I'm like, well, I will figure out how we can get the time back somewhere else, but I want to not move on until I get this and it feels right for me as the director. And that's been one of my mantras, as I don't want to have any regrets on set when I leave for the day. I want to have said, did I try everything? Did I say everything? Am I being honest and transparent and truthful in every way? Because if I'm holding back or I'm not giving someone feedback or I'm not telling an actor a way that I can see it improved or adjusted, then it will just kind of plague me. And that's where the gut thing happens. So I really like that. And especially if I have a gut thing around a person and their trustworthiness, I'm getting more and more aware of little slight things that if someone is gossipy or maybe talking about another person and that they have unresolved issues with that person, that they haven't gone to that person and at least tried, then I'm like, that's probably going to happen with us too. They're probably going to find something. Because again, I'm not for everybody. We're not going to please everybody. And I'm okay with that. I want to be open for feedback. In fact, I had someone at Sundance who was staying with us and they want to get involved with BraveMaker. They want to volunteer. And they're like, oh, I love everything about BraveMaker. It was so great. But can I give you some feedback on one of your videos? I was like, sure. I loved it. I was like, yes, totally. And it wasn't like mean or gossipy or whatever. It was just like, I would have done this differently, or maybe next time you could try that. I thought that's so constructive. That's a person I want to work with. But if this person would have been critical in a mean way, that would have felt like vindictive, because you've all had those before. You've had people who are vindictive in their comments, like they actually want to hurt you. That's not great. So you can feel that kind of stuff. Anyway, the anxiety thing is probably a whole different interesting conversation, nerves or, medical responses and stuff that I probably don't know how to articulate, but thank you for bringing that up, Alika. That's good. All right, let's talk about money. We all need to make money. We all need to pay bills. And I find myself doing a lot of things, and BraveMaker does a lot of things where we don't pay people. Sometimes we do and can. But I'd love to just hear anything that you all have navigated through, or things that you're doing better, or, anecdotal stories from the past that have helped you advocate for yourself. Because I'm finding my growth edge this year is trying to value myself more when, people want me to do things, and saying no. Like I've had to say no to something that was beneath what I thought I was worth. And I saw last year a client come back and actually give me more when I asked for that. And that felt so, so great. It doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to ask for money. It doesn't hurt to request it or ask for increases. And then be okay, again, with the other 6 things. If they say no, then I go, okay, well, do I like the people? Do I like the project? But if the person is someone I don't want to work with and they don't want to pay me, I'm out immediately. Comments, questions, anybody? Becca said, I heard something around decision making to ask yourself, does a project cause an expansion or contraction, heart and mind? That's good. I wonder also, too, is there something to be said about when we say yes to something, does it benefit, move your career forward? Is it something different? Maybe there should be a different question around that. Is it something that you've never done before? Because maybe you say no to something because, like, I've played this character 10 times, or it's just not, I've had people tell me the character didn't have high enough stakes, or, I had someone turn down Creature Comforter because they felt like it was not developed enough, or went, too fast at the end, which is, I ended up changing things because of that, which was really great, so. But any comments on the financial things and how do you deal with, I know, Shauna, you paid people awesome. Stacy, paying people, I mean, really, really great stuff to value. Gwen, her motivation for making her first short and raising so much money is she really wanted to compensate people well. Like she paid, I almost think above. I was like, wow, you're paying people this much a day. It was great. It really, really great. What a way to value people and make them want to show up and give their best,
Yeah, I have a little story that I can share. And yeah, and going back to the paying people thing, yes, that's something I always want to prioritize in my projects because if that doesn't happen, I just feel not right. Anyway, this is sort of related to film and media, not exactly like film shoots or projects, but in terms of like a job that I was going for in the past, I think it was actually last year. I've always wanted to work with film festivals or work for film festivals, and I have in the past. But I was up for this particular job for a local film festival last year, and it was basically my dream job. It was so cool. I was 100% qualified. Um, but the kicker was that it was like very temporary. The pay was, kind of minuscule, and it was somewhere up, it was in San Francisco. So, and I was living in San Jose at the time. I still am. But when I like looked at everything, it was just, I decided that it was just more of, uh, gosh, what's the word? It was more of like a strain on me, with all those factors considered. It was for like barely 3 months. And even though I really, really, really wanted to take it because I felt like it would be getting my foot in the door moments, I had to make the really, really hard decision of turning it down. Um, so I think it was very valuable though too, because it was like a teaching moment for me, I think, and just realizing, yeah, what was, important to me, and um, turning it down. So hopefully, something, the next big thing would present itself to me and be available. So yeah.
that last part is golden because I think sometimes we say yes out of desperation because we feel like there's nothing else out there. But if we say yes to that thing, then something else comes when you in your gut knew you shouldn't have. It's like the universe is making the way, for you to get that thing and to advocate for yourself to find that thing that's more meaningful. So that's good, Shauna. I like to hear that. It's great. I think there's also something about resentment too. If you find yourself resenting saying yes, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. If there's resentment, like, oh, I'm not excited, to do this thing, then that's a problem. I'm doing this film program in Rockland. And the only thing I hate is that I have to drive 2 hours to do it. But it's like they're paying me. I get to help write a thing. I'm directing all the other factors, but it's like 2 hours to drive to this thing. I have to get up so early, to go to set. It's only for one day, thankfully. But if there were other factors where it wasn't paying or I didn't like the people, I would know resentment would be in my heart. So I only resent the fact that I have to drive 2 hours. So I'm able to compromise. All right. Any final comments on how to know when to say no?
Sure. I do have a story. It was really, really cool. About advocating for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Was that with one of my screenplays? I did a reading, and I asked this actress, if she wanted to read, and I said, I have you in mind for this part, and she at first said no because she said that right now in her career she's only taking lead roles, supporting roles. And, this is me being like really new. I was like, oh, like sad and hurt. But then I was like, no, I really respect that.
Yeah.
Really respect that because that's, she's trying to make money. She's trying to support herself. She did do the
Right.
reading. She said, it doesn't mean I won't do the reading,
Yeah.
but, I have a goal in mind. And I thought that was really awesome. Like awesome advice to kind of take on for yourself is just like, I have this goal in mind.
Yep.
I will not take less than this or whatever, at whatever point you're at. So yeah, and she's great.
Yeah, believing in yourself, advocating yourself by Stacy. I think that also sets the precedent for the future because you go, I I'll say no as much as I have to, but I don't want people coming back to me if they're asking me to, be a second AD. I do a lot of ADing here and there. It's not a lot, 4 or 5 a year I'll do, or second AD if it pays well. But that's not what I want to be doing. I want to be writing and I want to be directing. All right.
I
Well, go ahead.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I know you have some like podcasts about like rejection, but do you have the other side of this, like how to gracefully accept a no from somebody?
That's a great one.
Because sometimes I feel like, oh, they're going to be so mad if I say no, or they're going to get their
Yeah.
feelings hurt or whatever. And sometimes I just need to let it go. But that
Yeah.
I think is really valuable because there's a lot of people who are filmmakers who talk to me about other people saying no. And like, can you believe that? And I'm like, well, yeah, don't
Mm,
take it personally. It wasn't
mm,
you. It wasn't about
right.
you. It wasn't about your writing.
Yeah.
Something else, why take it personally? It's only going to make your experience worse.
And that is where I think if we're being transparent, right, reverse these 6 things, we should be able to say, hey, it's not right because it's not compensating enough, or I'm not really passionate about the project. I've had people say that this isn't really doing it for me, and I should be okay with that, or I can't sacrifice the time right now because with my family, I'm so sorry, whatever. Like we should be doing that and saying that more and more and being transparent because it's owning it, right? Why try to hide it to try to please someone else? They should know if the writing isn't good, if the project's not good, they should know that. And maybe they would say, well, do you want to help? Then I might say, yeah, if you're willing, and if I'm willing, great. Or no, actually, I'm not. I'm probably not the right person. Find a different collaborator. That's really, really hard, I think, but it shouldn't be. We should be able to have those kind of conversations. All right. Reminder, we are back to Mondays next week. We have Lisa Mazzotta, who is the producer of Daughters, which didn't get an Oscar nomination, sadly, which was such a ripoff. But it happens. We'll probably talk about it. I hope we can. How she feels around that. Also, we have a drop in on Thursday, February 6th. Reminder, you get in for free to those in Redwood City, Thursday, February 6th. And we just announced we're having our gala variety show comedy special on Sunday, March 30th. We haven't announced the people yet, but it will be Leah Knauer and Willie Mack who are going to be our headliners. So it's very exciting. We're trying to raise money for the film festival. So thank you all. Have a good day. See you. This is a really good conversation. Appreciate it. Bye.